Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 5 of the She is Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mirriam Knight. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Ohio and in Southern Africa, and I am the founder of She is Unleashed as well as the founder of Destiny Connections LLC. Y'all, I am so excited about this season because it is just so personal to me. It is something that I believe is going to impact your life and mine significantly over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, as we go into our theme for this year, which is build. Build what God has already placed within you, build what God has already given you. Now, this season, we're going to start it a little differently. It's going to be a little slower. It's going to be just a little bit more calmer because we are talking about what God has already placed within us, and we're giving ourselves a moment to just breathe and to allow ourselves to really lean into not because there isn't any urgency, but because there's a weight that comes with this season. Season 5 marks a shift in how we're going to move going forward. This is not a season about becoming louder, faster, or more visible, but it is a season about becoming whole enough to build what will last. If you've been with me for a while, you know this already, but let me say it clearly. Not everything that can be built should be built, and not everything you're capable of carrying is yours to carry now in this season. Now, I've had to learn that the hard way. This season is for the woman who is no longer impressed by hustle, the woman who has survived success, the woman who has discovered that unhealed strength eventually becomes strain. And if you're honest, maybe you've noticed something else. You can lead, you can execute, and you can build, but lately you may have been asking yourself these different questions. Questions like, why does everything feel heavier than it used to? Why am I so effective and yet still so tired? Because I know you're effective. I know you're productive. I know you know how to make things happen. Why does every new level require something deeper from me, not just more effort? This season is for you because healed people, we build differently. And I really want you to lean into that component of healed people build differently. And just because you aren't all there and you haven't completely perfected the space of healing doesn't mean that you aren't healed. And here's why you're healed, because God says so. He says, by his stripes, you are healed. So let's talk about the difference between capacity and wholeness. Let's begin with a truth that most high capacity women don't want to admit. You can build incredible things while deeply wounded. History has proven that organizations, movements, ministries, families, and empires all built. Sometimes because of unhealed pain, not in spite of it. Some of the things we've built it almost as a so there. I'm going to prove something. Trauma can make you productive, survival can make you strategic, fear can make you disciplined, but none of those things produce sustainable legacy. There's a difference between capacity and wholeness. Capacity says, I can handle it, I got this. Wholeness says, but what is it costing me internally to keep handling everything? Y'all, again, these are lessons that I'm sharing with you that I have learned so deeply personally in this last year, in this last couple of years, that God has taken me through the last several months of a complete shift in my life. And I'm sharing this from a place of what God has done in me, what he's still doing in me, and what he's about. I'm inviting you on a journey with what he's about to do in my life. And I want to see you achieve the same place of healing and wholeness that I believe he desires, not just for me, but for all of us. A lot of women, we confuse exhaustion with obedience. We confuse burnout with sacrifice, and we confuse constant output with faithfulness. But here's the quiet truth. God does not anoint dysfunction. He may use it, right? He doesn't waste anything, but he does not require it of us. He doesn't require us to be dysfunctional. At some point in our leadership, God stops rewarding your coping mechanisms and starts inviting you into healing. We've heard this has gone viral over the last several months, when one therapist has been talking about how we've used mental health and how we've used trauma and all these trauma phases, triggers, and all these words. They become crutches instead of an invitation to healing, instead of a way for us to say, how can I heal? This is what the problem is. How do I solve it? We've started using those things as crutches. But I want to tell you, and we've even caught this phrase of, that's just how I am, deal with it. I don't care who people think I am or what people say. I'm just going to be myself. But here's the thing, God is not just inviting us to be ourselves. He's inviting us higher. He's inviting us to be who He says we are, beyond the hurt, that we outlive the hurt, that we heal beyond what was done to us, what was said to us, what we did to ourselves. Here's the thing, God doesn't want us to constantly live in a place of coping. He wants us to move into a place of wholeness and healing. Our true comeback to the enemy isn't to say that, hey, I'm still pushing through the pain, but it is to say, Satan, you tried your best. Devil, you came at me with everything you got, but I'm still standing, not in my army, just standing by the little bit of my little chin, but I am standing healthy and whole. You did not win. God won. And what Jesus did on the cross, He did so that we would not be able to be defeated by the enemy. Victory is ours. Here's the invitation. God is saying, come and be whole. Come and be healed. Not because you're weak, but because you're ready, sis. You're ready to step into this place of healing that God is inviting you to. So let's talk about, why do unhealed leaders build from a place of defense? Unhealed leaders don't usually know they're unhealed. That's the truth. A lot of us don't even know that we're walking in dysfunction. We just know how to stay ahead, how to stay in control, how to stay needed, how to stay strong. Unhealed leadership often looks impressive from the outside because we know how to get it done again. But internally, it's driven by the need to prove something to someone, the fear of being replaced by someone, the terror of slowing down. We're afraid that if we slow down, everything's going to fall apart. The belief that rest equals irresponsibility. When we are unhealed, we build from a place of defense. We are protecting something, not from a place of discernment and leaning into alignment and hearing what God is saying and moving in alignment and in obedience to what He's saying. We build because we want to feel safe. We build because we want to feel secure. We build to feel valuable. We build to feel seen. So we overbuild, we overfunction, we overextend, and then we call it vision, y'all. But vision that is rooted in fear will always demand more than it gives back. And I've seen that personally. And I had to sit down with myself. God had to sit me down with myself, with my accountant. He had to sit me down with him. And we had to have some really hard conversations about overextending ourselves. And God had to say, why are you doing this? Did I ask you to do this? Why are you serving beyond what you can afford to, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, relationally? Healed people don't build to outrun pain. They build from alignment. And the invitation that God is extending to us in this season of She's Unleashed podcast, season 5, it's an invitation not to do more, sis, but to tell the truth about what leadership has cost you, what success has exposed in you, what you've been carrying silently, what you've been afraid to put down. Healing is not about becoming softer, it's about becoming clearer. Clearer about what is yours and what is not, what is necessary and what is noise. And clarity, it's a leadership advantage. This is what God often pauses expansion for until healing catches up with us. It's not punishment, but as protection. There's a lot of things that you and I have been praying for, asking God for, and God has literally been saying, daughter, I can't give that to you yet. If I give it to you now, it's going to break you. It's going to destroy you. Sometimes what God holds back from us, it's not because He's punishing us, but it's for our good. It's His protection of us, because He recognizes that our foundation, our structures are not solid enough to carry the things that we are asking God for. And I pray that in this season, you and I will both do what God is asking us to do, to build in a manner that is different, to build in a manner that will be able to sustain and carry what God has already declared concerning us, what God has already given us. It says you don't have to strive for anything. You already got it. God has already given it to you. See, scripture is filled with builders, and God really cares about how we build, not just that we build. We can build all these things, but if they won't last, if they're not sustainable, if they're not healthy, God doesn't want that. He wants us to build intentionally, build things that will give Him glory. Not all builders in the Bible are commended by God. Some people build fast and they lose it all. Some people build big and it collapses internally, it implodes. Some people build impressively, but they leave chaos behind because they don't care who they're stepping on and what they're doing to who to get to the top. God is not impressed by our scale, y'all. He's concerned with our structure and he's concerned with our obedience. And structure is always shaped by the builder's inner life. This is why healing is not a detour from leadership. It is a leadership preparation that is necessary for building what God is asking us to build. God is interested in every single component of what we're building, not just what it looks like on the outside. He's interested in what cement you're using and what bricks and stones you're using, what kind of water. He's interested in the very fibers of what we're building, because what you build will eventually mirror what you believe about God, about yourself, about people, about rest, about your worth. And if you believe love must be earned, you will build systems that exhaust people. If you believe you are replaceable, you will hoard control. If you believe that rest is unsafe, you will create urgency everywhere you go. Healed people build differently because they're no longer building to survive. They're building to steward. They understand that God has given this to me, and therefore I need to be a good steward of what he's already given to me. And what God has given to me, no one can take away. I'm not trying to keep anyone from taking this away from me or replacing me. I'm just trying to finish and fulfill my assignment and hear God say, well done, good and faithful servant. Now, I want to ground this moment in scripture for this next couple of months, probably even for this whole year. We're going to be digging into the book of Nehemiah and the book of Proverbs 31, verses 10 to 31, because a healed building is not a modern concept. It is a biblical concept. When Nehemiah hears about the condition of Jerusalem in the book of Nehemiah, the first thing he does is not strategize. He weeps, he fasts, he prays. Before a single stone is lifted, his heart is aligned. That's build. All right. Before he lifts one single stone, he first does something internally to make sure that the inside part, the psalmist says, Lord, give me wisdom in the inner parts of my being. God, teach me to number my days aright. He's saying, God, do the work in me first before I begin to manifest on the outside. Even a healthy tree, if the inside, if the sap is not healthy, if the internal components of a tree are not healthy, it cannot produce healthy fruit. Listen, Nehemiah began with God, and he allows himself to fully understand what is broken, not just structurally, but emotionally and spiritually. In Proverbs 31, we talk about this woman all the time, the Proverbs 31 woman. It describes a woman whose household trusts her, not because she's busy, but because she is whole. Integrity creates safety. And that first integrity is our promise to ourselves. Can we trust ourselves? Because when we can trust ourselves, we feel safe with ourselves. We feel like we can trust our decisions. We feel like we can trust our moves. Healed people don't build louder, they build truer. So, what does healing actually look like at this level, y'all? Healing at this stage of life does not look dramatic, y'all. I'm not looking for anyone's applause. I'm not looking for anyone to say check mark. I'm not looking to compare myself with anybody. Healing at this level of life, it may not even be in a crowd. It may be in the quiet place where it's just God and I. It may look quiet. It will look honest. It will look inconvenient because it sometimes means I'm not going to show up for everything that's happening. I'm not going to be able to do all the things. I might have to say no without explaining. I might have to rest without feeling guilty. I might have to delegate and not rescue someone, let them make some mistakes and then let them grow and learn from those. I might have to let someone misunderstand me and not feel like I need to explain and try to get them to see things from my perspective. It might mean grieving what I've lost while I'm still building. Healing looks like letting go of the version of yourself that was forged in survival, but no longer fits with your future. You can say thank you so much to that version of you and say, I got it from here. We're going to do things a little different from you. And that can be really hard sometimes because that version of you, it worked. You knew how to survive. You know how to function that way. That version of you, she protected you. She got you to this place, but she is not meant to take you forward. Sometimes that greatest separation that we're talking about, going in different directions, it may not necessarily be with somebody else. It might be with versions of yourself. And that is a grief, that is a goodbye that we have to partake in to be able to step into the new that God wants to do in our lives. Let me tell you this, sis, and speak very personally and directly to you. If you're listening to this and you feel a little exposed, It's not condemnation, it's recognition. I'm sharing from my heart. I'm sharing from what God's been walking me through. If you're tired of holding it, everything, all of it together, you're not failing, you're evolving. You're saying this jar, this wineskin, it can contain. I've outgrown this space of survival. I'm ready to move into something different. If God has been slowing you down, y'all, He slowed me all the way down. He's not blocking you. He's deepening you. Now I've sensed it in my own life. In this last season, I've sensed God just making those roots go I've sent all the way down. I've sensed Him help making me question and challenging my belief system and digging deep into the things I believed about myself, dealing with my insecurities, dealing with the questions in my, dealing with my offenses. Like God's been making me go all the way in, y'all, because He knew that version of me, and in fact, even this version of me, because He's still working, right, did not have the capacity to carry what He needs me to carry in this next season. Sis, you are not behind. You are being prepared. And what you will build next requires a healed foundation. So God's going to be going deep, and we're going to be going deep in this season 5. We're about to kick off. We just kicked off 42-day build reset. And y'all, I am so excited because what I've been studying, what God's been preparing me for, these amazing women that have signed up for this challenge, I promise you it's going to be life-changing. And y'all, if I can tell you this, I was not going to invite anybody on this journey. This was just supposed to be God and me. But God said, invite some people along on this journey. And I'm so in awe of God. I'm so in awe of God. And I'm so in awe of what God is going to do in and through us in this next season, in this next chapter. 2026 is going to be an amazing year if you will allow God access into the deepest parts of your soul. Watch Him do some amazing things. So, sis, in this season, we're not chasing visibility. We're building capacity with integrity. We are choosing wholeness over performance. We're learning to lead without bleeding. Every episode in this season is going to peel back another layer of identity, nervous system regulation, boundaries, grief, authority, rest, and stewardship. Not to break you, but to make you strong in the right way. Because healed people don't just build more, they build better. And what you're called to build in this season, sis, yo, it deserves you, not just your output, but you, the whole you, the version that God ordained before the beginning of time, the version that the world is waiting on. I am so excited and I'm ready, and I hope you're ready. I will see you in the next episode. God bless you and have a phenomenal 2026.